Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey, private practice heroes. Thanks for tuning into the podcast today. I'm your host, Colaiacovo, and today we're wrapping up the How to Market Your Practice in 1 Hour a Week series with the final lesson where we pull everything together, and I'm going to show you how the full 4-week MVP plan for marketing works as a complete system. You'll connect all the dots and see how your anchor content, that main article you create, and how repurposing and batching time and tasks and focus publishing and scheduling all fit together so that your marketing feels doable, repeatable, and way less overwhelming. So if you want a clear plan you can stick to and one that helps you stay consistent without being online every day or constantly starting over, this episode is for you. Because the thing is, marketing often feels hard, but it's not because you can't handle it or you can't do it. Most of the time, it's because everything you're doing is very random and scattered, which is what you get when you don't take the time to put a plan in place. And as we end off the year here, I want to do a recap of what I've been sharing in this series because it is a very simple, repeatable system that you can come back to month after month, week after week. Even when you're booked with clients and even when things are slow and you're scared nothing is working, so you stop trying. It even works when life gets so busy that there's simply no time left in your day. And any time you have left is sure not going to go to marketing. Trust me, I know that marketing is one of the first things that gets bumped off a to-do list. But before we go any further, I want to remind you, you don't need to be online every day for your marketing to work. You don't need to post content multiple times a day. You don't need to start from scratch every week wondering what to do for your marketing. You simply need a system that you can make happen very easy and do it consistently week after week. And that's what this MVP marketing plan is all about, the minimum viable plan that makes your marketing work. So when I say 1 hour a week, I really want to be clear about what that looks like. This is not 1 hour total for the entire month. It is about one focused hour every week because each week has a very specific job. I've covered those in the last 4 episodes. There's a marketing task that you do every week. You sit down, you do that job, and you're done. There's no guessing about what to work on. There's no bouncing between tasks. There's no marketing hanging over your head all week. And this is where batching and blocking your time and your tasks really matters. And I will come back to how we do that a little later in the episode. But for now, I want to walk you through what we've been doing in these last episodes and take you through a full 4-week MVP cycle exactly as it's meant to be used. And I want to share with you what it looks like all in one go. I hope you're ready for this. And I do have a surprise for you today. What we did create was a handout that's going to go along with this. So as you're listening in, don't worry about taking notes too much because I've got something that you'll be able to download and use to recap all of these different weeks. So we're going to start with week 1. This is your content creation week. This is when you're going to write your anchor content article. That's that main piece of content for the cycle you're following. So you also have at this point decided how often you're going to do this. You've set your cycle for new content that you have to create. So in the example that we're doing here and that we've been doing all along, it is 1 article for 1 month. That's the cycle. Every month, there's going to be a brand new content piece created. So there's 12 in the case of 1 year. And this is one clear, helpful piece of content written for your ideal client that educates them, answers real questions they have, and shows your expertise by using the words that they're already searching for online, keywords. This is not content meant to show up once on social media and be forgotten. It is content that is built to keep working for your practice over time. It anchors all of your marketing, which is why I call it your anchor content article. Now, in this 1 hour block, you're going to not only write the anchor content article, but you're going to do a few light repurposing steps. And you're going to pull out of that content, that article, other content that you're going to use for your social media. So you're going to copy and paste and create 2 educational tips, or what I call brilliance tips, because you're sharing your brilliance, and you're going to create 2 blog promotional posts. So these are kind of short little advertisements almost for people to entice them to click the link and read the article on the blog. And these will come directly from the article you wrote. You're not writing new content to make these. You're really pulling them from what you created in the article. Copy, paste, edit a little bit, and then you're done. You're also going to write down a few simple ideas for images to go along with this content. Now, I will stop here and say the images part 100% works a lot easier if you've created some templates. If you know what you're going to do every month for how much content you're going to create from the article and what kind of images you want. I encourage you to create templates. They will help you a lot when it comes to the images. This is just looking at the content you've written and pulling out some one-liners that you could use and put on some of those images. And that's all you're going to do. You're going to have all of this information ready so that when it's time to do your marketing next week, you've got the content created, you've got the social media content, your Catalyst content created, and you've got ideas for the images. And then you're done. You're going to save a lot of time because when you do the creation and idea generation in one sitting, it doesn't mean when you come back to it the next time you sit down that you have to refresh yourself on what the article was about to create the social media content or to get the ideas for the images. You're in the moment. You've got everything there. You're still thinking about it. So it's a lot easier to do that. Then we've finished for the week. We've written the article content. We've created the educational tips, the blog promotional posts, and some ideas for images. That's it. We're done. Close the books on that hour and you move on, do the rest of your work. In week 2, this is where you're going to create the social media content and prep that. You're going to create the images and you're going to spend a little time networking online. So we are not in creation mode now. This is format and prep week. In this 1 hour block, you format those social media posts. So you wrote some ideas down. Now you're going to make them look like the way you want them to when they show up on social media. So in my case, every week I create a post that will go on Instagram and I use the same content and I put it on LinkedIn or Facebook, but I change it up a little bit. That's formatting it for my social media channels. You're going to create those marketing images. And because you have templates, you'll be able to follow my 5 minutes max rule for making marketing images. And then what you're doing with all of this is you're just polishing what you already wrote and created. You're making your content usable and ready to go. And once you've done that, you spend 15 minutes networking on whatever platform on social media that you want to spend your time on. Now, this is not about scrolling and lurking and watching videos. This is about connecting, being nice, following that system for networking that I taught you about in this series of articles. You're replying to people, you're commenting thoughtfully, you're showing up as a human being. And this is important because marketing isn't just about publishing content, it's about making connections too. So when you put some networking time and build it into your marketing plan and system, it stops feeling like one more thing that you never get to because you know you're going to spend a few minutes. 15 minutes is all you need. Go on there, be pointed about it, follow the daily social 7 that I taught you about in that episode. And like I said, I've got a handout for all of this, and I've got a list of all the episodes that you'll find on the show notes page. Don't worry about that. I will have resources for you to link to and find. But that's all you're going to do in this week too. You're prepping that marketing content, that catalyst content that's going to go out on social media. You're not scheduling it. You're not doing anything but prepping and writing and not writing even, formatting it, creating the images. And then you're done. The next week you come back, we're going to get into prepping your newsletter and doing some networking online. That's what week 3 is all about. It's your newsletter week. And this is one that people often overthink on what they should do. So I want to really simplify it for you. If you have been writing a different article for your newsletter and then a different one for your blog, as of today, I want you to stop. It is not necessary. Your newsletter can come directly from that anchor content article you wrote, and so can your blog. You use a newsletter and a blog for different people. You're going to send the newsletter to people already on your email list. You've captured their email somehow. They've had a connection with you somehow. You publish the article on your blog so the search engines can find you and help other people find you. So when they're searching online, putting that content on your website as a blog post helps people find you. There's 2 purposes, but it can be one piece of content. So if you have been doing these as 2 entirely different articles, that's one of the reasons why you've been wasting time and spending more time than you need to. Stop. And you'll probably find you cut your time in half when it comes to your marketing if you stop doing this. You do not need to create more content than you actually need to be useful and effective. So in this 1-hour block, you're going to take that anchor content article and format it for your newsletter. So you're going to do things like add a subject line, put in a personal intro, maybe at the beginning. Choose, not create, but choose one of those images you made last week to go in the newsletter and go with it. You're going to proof the newsletter. And then once it's ready to go, you're going to schedule it for your email system so it goes out on the day that you want to send it out there. And if you're doing this 4-week plan, this MVP plan, understand that you could be doing that newsletter prep today, but maybe not scheduling the newsletter to go out until next week. So you always want to have within that cycle that you're creating for everything kind of a plan and a schedule for if I'm writing in week 1 the article, week 2 I'm formatting stuff, week 3 I put in the newsletter, and I schedule it for week 4. So you want to make sure that you have sort of that whole system and schedule set up. And once you've finished prepping that newsletter, because you're not writing it from scratch, so all you're doing is literally copy and pasting it from a document somewhere and getting it into your email system, adding the subject line, the intro, the image, proofing it, you still have time in your hour to go out and spend some more time online networking, connecting and engaging with people. And that's it. And it's so much easier to do this when you're not having to create that newsletter today because you already created it. You wrote the article 2 weeks ago, in fact. Now we move on to week 4. This is where you're going to format and publish the article as a blog post. You're going to schedule the social media content that you created to go out online over the next few weeks. And it may not be weeks depending on the schedule that you have. And then you're going to spend a little bit of time networking online. So week 4 is really the blogging and social media content publishing week. This is when you prep and put your blog out and schedule the social media content that you created. So in this hour, you're going to take that article and you're going to format it and upload it on your website as a blog post. And there were some items that I had in that episode, a checklist on your blog. So the 10 elements that you want in an effective blog. So make sure you go and check that out in that episode. All those episodes for all the different weeks where we got into detail are in the show notes for this one. So wherever you're listening in, go down to the bottom, look in the description, you'll find links to that. So you put that blog on your website. Then you're going to schedule your already created social media posts, and you have the images you created already. And all you're going to do is literally copy, paste, pick a time, and hit schedule. Copy, paste, pick a time, and schedule. That's why I tell you that it could take you 30 minutes to schedule your content for a month. You have it already. You've written it. Literally, we're talking about go into, Meta Business Suite, or I use Metricool or whatever you might use. You've got the content created, copy, paste, upload the image, pick the time, schedule. Like we're talking 2 or 3 minutes a post. That's why you can spend a half an hour, 20 minutes, and you've probably got 10 or 15 posts. And that's probably all you need for the month. You don't need to have tons of posts scheduled every day on your social media. And once you finish that, then you've got another bit of 15 minutes to spend networking and connecting and engaging online. So again, this week four, we're not creating content. We're taking what we created, formatting, publishing, and scheduling it. And that's the 4-week cycle. And when you go through this, because you have everything prepared, this is when you're going to see that your marketing finally stops feeling unfinished or half done and stressful. Because every week you know where you are in the process. You've got exactly what you needed done. You did your marketing, you did it with purpose, you did it effectively, and then you sign off and you move to the next week. And this is all literally the Thrive marketing method that I teach students in my academy put into action. It's the entire basis of the whole model for doing less marketing and streamline marketing that I teach students in my programs. And it all starts by having a plan, having a schedule. It is all about having a purpose to what you're doing. It's not just having a content calendar filled with content for the sake of posting stuff online, but it's a very clear marketing plan that supports your goals. It helps you build the kind of practice or business that you're trying to grow and trying to build. And it's all about making sure that you focus everything on message clarity and purpose so that you are putting content out there, knowing what you want to be known for, knowing who you're talking to, and creating content that actually connects to the message you want to put out there for those people. And that's why this whole system starts with that one strong anchor piece of content. It's not because you need a ton of content, but you need that base content that has the purpose and goal of helping you speak to the right people to reach the ideal clients out there looking for you. And it's not only about reaching those people, but reaching the search engine so that they will help those people find you too. So instead of creating something new every time you decide it's time to sit down and do some marketing, and every time you show up in social media, what you're doing instead is you're repurposing that one article you already created. And this is 100% how you're going to save time with your marketing. And it's finally how your marketing stops feeling like all you do is spend time on that never-ending hamster wheel of marketing that's going round and round and round and getting you nowhere. You're not trying to be everywhere. You're focusing your time and energy where it makes the most impact for your practice using that anchor content piece that is going to help you have that impact. And this is also where batching and blocking time for specific tasks comes into play, because it's all about making this method work in real life. Batching your activities keeps your focus on one task at a time. It is all about blocking your time so you protect the time. And it also helps so that your marketing doesn't get pushed aside when things get busy because you've made time for it. You've put that hour in your calendar. And each week, that hour has one purpose when it comes to your MVP plan. Week number 1 is when you create the main article, your anchor content. Week number 2 is creating the catalyst content, the content that's going to help people read and consume that anchor content. This is your social media content and the images that you're going to use with it. Week number 3 is all about taking that anchor content and turning it into your newsletter by formatting it so it fits well on your email system and then publishing it online and scheduling it in your email marketing system. Week 4 is when you take that anchor content and put it on your website as a blog post, and you take the time to schedule that already created social media content. And weeks 2 and 3 and 4, they also all have 15 minutes of networking time online too. Now, in order for me to say you can do your marketing in 1 hour a week, I took the 15 minutes out of week 1 where you write the article. But you could always throw that in there and block an extra 15 minutes somewhere along the line so that you do that type of networking and connecting with people every week, not just 3 out of the 4 weeks. But with this plan, you're never guessing what you need to work on. That hour, you sit down, you're not posting random content. You're not posting content just for the sake of posting, hoping something will stick somewhere. You're following a system that's designed to flow from one step to the next and easily be repeated. And when your marketing is planned and it leads with the message you want to say to people, and it's focused on what actually matters for your business, and you're publishing content where people are looking for you and finding you, then all of that being done consistently is when your marketing finally stops feeling really hard to do. And there's something really big I want you to remember about this. Just being motivated to do marketing won't make that happen. Hoping you find the time to do it tomorrow is not going to help you be consistent. A simple system that fits your business goals and your lifestyle and your schedule and your business is what's going to make this all work. Now, as I said earlier, I know this is a lot to remember. We've had, I can't remember now off the top of my head if it's been 6 or 7 episodes about this that's tied them all together. And I know it is a ton of content, but that's why I've created this PDF guide to go along with this episode. It walks you through all 4 weeks of the MVP plan step by step, and it shows you what to do each week, what your focus should be, and how to repeat that system every time for whatever cycle of content you've decided on. This MVP plan will show you what you do every week, what your focus is every week, and how to repeat it every time for whatever cycle you have determined that you want to do and create and follow. Make sure you grab that free guide using the link in the show notes, or you can simply visit pepperitmarketing.com/MVP. And this is something that you can use to guide you as you build this habit of being consistent with your marketing. It's not something I intended for you to download and stick on a virtual bookshelf. I actually encourage every one of you to print it out and use it and follow along with it. Make it real. Your action steps from today's lesson are to try this entire full MVP marketing cycle and start building that habit of consistent system-based marketing for your practice or your business. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to set a schedule for your cycle of marketing and block 1 hour each week for the next 4 weeks and protect that time. This system will only work when you give it dedicated time in your calendar. Start with week 1 only and write that anchor content article that will be your main piece of content for the month. And remember, don't aim for a perfect article. Aim for something complete and useful for your ideal client. From that anchor article, still in week 1, I want you to create 2 brilliance tips and 2 blog promotional posts. Write down a few simple image ideas so you're not having to come back and think about what you would want later. Make sure you create this stuff, the tips and the posts for social media and the image ideas, when you're writing the article. That is the biggest game changer with this. It helps you stay focused in the moment to create the content. If you come back to it later on, I promise you're going to have to reread the article, take the time to do that, and it's going to take you longer than if you had done it at the same time in the first place. And then I want you to commit to following the rest of this 4-week cycle as outlined in this MVP plan. Instead of trying to do everything all at once, just use 1 hour of time that you're blocking in your calendar and make it happen. 1 week, 1 job, and a few tasks that are focused on your marketing for your practice or your business. And you do it all in 1 hour. So be sure you grab that download that I talked about. And there is a link in the show notes so you can follow along with each week step by step without guessing and overthinking what comes next. And when you do this, that is you putting your own MVP marketing plan in action. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I love this system, I love the idea, but I'm not sure I can make it happen, well, that's where my Thrive Marketing Academy program comes in. This MVP system is truly the foundation of how members learn to do their marketing inside my academy. People are typically probably around 6 months into the program when they're starting to share check wins in on our calls on how they're booking more clients or how they're fully booked, or they just had their best ever month in business. That happened just recently with one of the students in my program. And it was amazing to hear her talk about it. I think she's been working with me probably almost going on year 3. And she said like November, December was literally her best month ever in business. And I love hearing that because what's happening is she literally came into my program because she no longer wanted to spend a ton of time on social media, which is what most people were telling her to do. So she came in, kind of turned everything around in that way. And now she is getting fully booked with clients without spending tons and tons of time on social media. When you get off social media, where people typically are not looking for you, and you get back to the basics and follow a simple plan that is focused and aimed at reaching the people where they're looking for you, that's the best kind of marketing plan you can have. So if you do want to explore more about my Thrive Marketing Academy, feel free to book a discovery call with me. I'll have some links to that on the show notes page as well. And we can talk about where you're at with your practice and your marketing and figure out whether or not joining the academy is something that would help you if you're on that road and path to try and get booked with clients. Because you don't have to figure this out alone. But we are at the end of the lesson today and this entire series on marketing your practice in 1 hour a week. So at this point, grab the guide, start trying to make it work. But if you need some help, give me a call and let's talk. It does take time. It does take planning, but it really is possible to market your practice in 1 hour a week. And that is your lesson for today, folks, and your last one with me for 2025. This is Kathy Colaiacovo signing off, saying thanks for tuning in. And remember, to thrive in practice means having a clear marketing plan, one you can repeat and that stays focused on your message, the message that matters for you. And using a simple MVP system that helps you market consistently in just 1 hour a week is one of the best ways to make this happen. It really does work, so I hope you will try it out. And please let me know how it goes if you do follow this. I would love to hear your progress. That's it for today. I'll see you next time. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at pepperitmarketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.